Bradley Beal expected to secure a buyout with the Phoenix Suns, and he may have already picked his next destination in Los Angeles. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe right here to the channel. We're almost at 30,000 subscribers. Blown away. Help us get there by hitting that subscribe button. All right, let's get into the latest around Bradley Beal. Reporting is that the buyout deal is close. Beal's going to give back about $13.8 million of his contract so that the Suns can waive and stretch him and not take up more than 15% of the cap in dead money. So Beal has to give up at least that much money in the buyout in order for the Suns to be able to do this. That would drop the Suns below the first and second tier aprons and would give them a bit more flexibility for the future, though at the cost of a lot of dead money sitting on the books for the Phoenix Suns for the next 5 years. That's going to hurt. However, Bradley Beal expected to be highly sought after out there on the free agent market. After all, the Suns are going to continue paying him. And if he's already getting paid by the Suns, that takes away some of the salary concerns and opens up a lot of possibilities for landing spots. However, it's looking more and more likely that he will be joining the Los Angeles Clippers. According to sources from NBC, Beal is believed to be heading to the Clippers, due in part to the Clippers trade of Norman Powell yesterday. The Clippers traded Norman Powell away in a deal that netted them John Collins, and now they have an opening at their shooting guard spot. So that was seen by folks around the NBA as a precursor to a Beal signing. The Clippers probably have a heads up. They probably already have a good sense that they're going to get Bradley Beal, and that's a big part of why they went ahead and made the move to send Norman Powell. Ultimately, he landed with the Miami Heat in a 3-team trade that also featured the Utah Jazz. So what the Clippers did is they went ahead and opened up their shooting guard spot for Bradley Beal to step into while getting John Collins on the trade market. So it does have the ring of truth that Bradley Beal to the Clippers is going to happen. It makes the most sense considering the other options that are out there. Other teams that Beal has been linked to include the Los Angeles Lakers, the Golden State Warriors, the Milwaukee Bucks. We've heard a number of other teams that are interested in Bradley Beal. But again, the fact that the Clippers went ahead and made a move to open up their shooting guard spot tends to make you think that he is indeed going to wind up joining the Clippers. I don't think any of those other teams necessarily can offer him the same kind of role that he would have with the Clippers. So what would this mean for the Clippers? What would this mean for this team, for what they can be this coming season? I think it would be a big deal if your net result here is ultimately you're trading away Norman Powell and you're bringing in Bradley Beal and John Collins. I think that's a big win for the Clippers, and that puts them into perhaps a different tier. Now, I don't think the Clippers are in the top tier in the Western Conference. I think the top tier in the West, the top 3 teams right now in the Western Conference, it's Oklahoma City, of course, the reigning champions. They've got to be number 1. After that, though, I look at Houston and Denver as 2 teams that have the best off seasons right now in the West. They've been phenomenal. To me, that's your top 3 currently if we were doing power rankings in the Western Conference. After that, you've got this whole group of teams. You've got the Lakers, the Wolves, the Warriors, perhaps the Grizzlies. We'll see what else they do. The Mavs certainly are going to be much better this coming season. The Spurs, they're looking to make a push now. You've got all of these teams that are kind of grouped, this big chunk of teams that wants to be firmly in the playoff and not play in mix in the Western Conference. And I think with this move, if the Clippers do indeed land Bradley Beal, in addition to the other things that they've done, getting Brook Lopez, getting John Collins, I think they could very well position themselves as the top team in that next grouping in the Western Conference and knocking on the door of trying to get into the top 3 there. So when I look at what the Clippers have done, when I look at Bradley Beal coming in, I think he's a perfect fit for what they need. Not only do they have minutes at the 2, but Bradley Beal's biggest issue right now, it's the defensive side of the ball. And I think this Clippers team is structured in a way that can mitigate that, similar to what they did with Norman Powell. Look, a Bradley Beal and James Harden backcourt, that's not the best backcourt defensively. However, you've got some interesting pieces around them. Derrick Jones Jr. at the 3. If you're going smaller, Kawhi Leonard is going to be there at the 4. Those are 2 top-notch defensive players. And then for 48 minutes now, with the arrival of Brook Lopez, you can have significant rim protection as well behind Beal and Harden. So if these guys get beat from the perimeter, you've got guys like Kawhi Leonard, Derrick Jones Jr. sliding over, doing what they can to contest, to disrupt. And then at the rim, you've got Ivica Zubac, you've got Brook Lopez. That's 48 minutes of top flight shot blocking at the rim for the Clippers as well. So a Harden Beal backcourt defensively isn't ideal, but I think the Clippers do have the right pieces on the rest of the roster to help mitigate that and take advantage of the three-point shooting, scoring, and playmaking that Beal gives you. I know there's a lot of negativity around him as a player right now because he's not been living up to his contract, but I think Beal is one of those guys where the conversation about his contract and the fact that he's a negative value on that bleeds into our perception of him as a player and creates more negativity about who he is as a player than he really deserves. I mean, you look, even in a down year with a miserable Suns team, Beal put up numbers, 17 points, 3.7 assists. The dude shot 39% from three, 49%, 50% really, if we're rounding up to get there from the field. Tremendously efficient in that regard. Turnovers kept them low. In fact, really low turnovers, the second lowest amount of turnovers, well, third lowest amount of turnovers per game of his career with just 1.9. So Beal is still, particularly on the offensive end, a very good basketball player and will be very helpful, and I think will go a long way towards mitigating the loss of Norman Powell. Norman Powell had a great season for the Clippers last year. His loss will be felt, but Bradley Beal steps into that role, and I don't think you really lose anything there if you're the Clippers going from Powell to Beal, and then you add John Collins into the mix. And I love the addition of John Collins because it gives the Clippers the opportunity to go big, to truly go big with a guy like Collins there at the power forward slot. And that will allow you to put Zubac at the 5, Collins at the 4. You go big to try to match up with Houston when they go supersize. Kawhi slides over to the 3 in that lineup. You also have the ability to still go small. You can play Kawhi at the 4, have more versatility out there on the floor. And I think that's going to be the base for the Clippers more often than not. But I do think that this is a team that now has given itself positional versatility. You can play big, you can play small. John Collins provides them with that opportunity, and it didn't really cost them much in terms of quality if they do indeed become the landing spot for Brad Beal. And when we look at all the particulars around the situation and the fact that they went ahead and traded Norman Powell, that tells you that the Clippers, on some level, believe that Brad Beal is indeed going to be joining their team. Now, nothing's done until it's done. It's always possible. He's not even bought out right now as I'm recording this. The buyout isn't even done right now, but the belief is that when the dust settles, he will be a Los Angeles Clipper. However, should he go somewhere else, he could join the Lakers. He could go up to Golden State. He could go to Milwaukee. They've had interest in him for a long time. Then the Clippers could potentially pivot to a player like maybe their old friend Chris Paul, maybe Malcolm Brogdon, someone like that that's still out there on the market. I don't believe we would see them go back to Russell Westbrook, who is also out there. But I'll tell you this, whenever Beal makes his decision, and right now all signs point to that decision being the Clippers, but whenever that is official, I expect the rest of the NBA's market to open up. Players like Anthony Melton, Brogdon, Russell Westbrook, and others will find teams. Right now, there's sort of a freeze on the market, waiting to see what's going to happen with Bradley Beal. All right, Basketball Bulletin, give me your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think about Beal's fit with the Los Angeles Clippers? Because right now, it certainly seems like that is where he's going. Give me your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe right here. Till next time, see ya, and stay safe.